All right, so we're not going to want our doorway to be all loose and flippy floppy and wiggly, and this in its current state is not going to hold up a roof. So what we're going to do is we're going to create 2 door jamb pieces. They're going to go along the side here and along the side here. We're going to attach them from the top to the bottom, and they're going to indent into the doorway just a little bit. The reason that we're going to be doing this is because it is going to add stability to our doorway and actually help hold the walls up even better. So we're going to do those first, and then we'll make our door. You just need a little bit of number 4 worsted weight brown. I happen to have an extra skein here, so but you don't need that much. But we are going to start off with chaining 22, and then we're going to, this one is so simple. Because it's just single crochets. All right, in the second loop from the hook, I want you to single crochet, and then I want you to crochet in each of the loops going down the chain. Moving on to round 2, we're going to go ahead and chain 1, which I've already done, and we're going to turn our work. And we're going to single crochet into each single crochet going across. Row 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn. I've chained 1, turn. Now we are going to work in the back loops only and single crochet again. So not both loops, but just the back loop. And do that all the way across. Alrighty, and then round 4, chain 1 and turn, and working through both loops again, we're going to single crochet in each single crochet. Okay, now I finished up round 4 or row 4. I'm going to chain 1 here, and then we're going to fold it so that these open loops from when we did our back loop only are going to stick out like so. All right. Now, here's where the fun part happens. We're going to make a super simple door jamb. All we're going to do is work through both thicknesses. So through the 2 loops of this single crochet and the 2 loops of that single crochet, and we're going to single crochet that together. This is going to make this particular piece fairly thick and sturdy. We're going to let the yarn do the work for us. When you get to the end, go ahead and chain 1, leave a long piece for attaching this because we're going to sew it to the inside of the door jamb here. Go ahead and make a second one of these, and then we'll get them sewn in place. All right, both of my door jambs are done, and so we're going to just talk about the way we're going to put these together. Now, the side that was facing us when we were single crocheting down both edges, that is going to be the right side of the work. So this would be the wrong side of the work because that's the back side of those stitches. This is going to be the right side. So we are going to actually attach the door jamb to the door using the open loops that we left on the opposite side. And this is going to sit inside. So where we need to join it is these loops need to go right behind this reverse single crochet section, and try to keep your stitches kind of small. And now this feels a little long, but we want it to go actually to the very bottom of our castle here. And so it's going to attach, and you'll have to just kind of pull this up a little bit because this has 21 stitches on it. And this is basically 21 stitches from top to bottom. So it needs to fit in there when you stitch it together. I'm going to go ahead and get this first one started. I'm going to get my needle over to the back side of the work, not the back side, but the other side from where the nice stitches are. And then we're going to start working. I'm just going to use a basic straight stitch in here where it just goes back and forth. And I'm going to go right behind where that is. And just continue attaching that all the way down. All right, it's stitched all the way down to the bottom. And now I'm going to go into down here underneath. And we're going to kind of do that same back and forth with the stitch. If you want a slightly neater look, or if you're looking to cover up those ends, you can also do an over the top whip stitch that goes like this. And it'll basically neaten up those ends for you. All right, and then I'm just going to weave and then go back to secure it. All right, there's our first door jamb. Now when we get the other one in place, it's going to hold things up a little bit better. Go ahead and get that second one in there, and then we're going to make our door, and once we get that on there, our bottom should be fairly sturdy. We are ready to start on our door, so we're going to need the same brown that we've been working with for our door jamb, and go ahead and chain 21. All right, and then once we have our 21 chains, we are going to, in the second loop from the hook, we are going to single crochet, and then we are going to single crochet in each chain across. That will give us a total of 20 stitches. And when you've hit the end of that, we're going to chain 1 and turn. All right, and now row 2, I should say. This is going to be the right side of your work. So at this point, do something, take a piece of, small piece of yarn or a stitch marker, something. Just mark this as your right side. And then going forward, we are going to put in the back loop only of this row and the next, let's see, rows 2 through 12. We are going to be doing the same row. So we're going to, in the back loop only, single crochet. So this is going to create a ridge. But because each side is going to look identical, make sure that you mark this side as your right side so that later on you're not having to guess. All right, and at the end of every row, we're going to be chaining 1 and turning. But I just want to take a second real quick to see, I just want to show you the ridge that we're creating with that back loop. This is what we're doing on every row. And then we're turning, and this is row 3. So see, we're creating it on both sides. Now go ahead from rows 3 through 12. repeat row 2, which is exactly what we're doing. So every one is going to be chain 1, turn, and single crochet into the back loop only for the next 10 rows. And then I'm just going to show you my real quick shortcut. If you don't already know it, chain 1, turn. So every one of these ridges is 2 rows. That's going to make it easier for counting. So we've got 2, and then when I do row 4 coming up here, it'll be 2, 4. So when you get to row 12, stop, come back, and we'll work together on row 13. Okay, all 12 rows have been completed. So just doing a quick review here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. We are going to start on row 13, chain 1 and turn, and then we're going to work into both loops on this row. So go ahead and single crochet going all the way across. And at the end of this one, we are going to, chain 1 and turn again. Now starting row 14, we are going to, just one more time, we're going to work in the back loops only. So go in the back loops and single crochet across. We're creating one more ridge, but it's actually going to help our, we're making our door in one piece, but it's going to hinge kind of. I'll show you in just a minute. All right, row 15, and basically row 15 through row 26 is going to go back to working in both loops, and we're going to single crochet in each, single crochet across. Now this one, because there's not the easy ridges to count, I recommend putting a stitch marker in just to, I do this for ease of counting, so I don't have to figure out where I'm at or which row is which. I'm going to know that this row was 16, so I'll just count from there when I'm going through to row 26. Alrighty, I will see you back here in a bunch more rows. After row 26, come back and we'll keep working on this door. All right, row 26 is complete. We are not going to cut this off though, so just kind of hold it off to the side, maybe pull up a long loop. And then we're going to fold our door with the right side out. So that's why I had you mark this so that we know which way we're going to be folding. This is what our door is basically going to look like. We are going to put a border around the door, but the reason we're doing this is because we're going to, in this space, we're going to cut a piece of plastic canvas to fit in between as we're sewing these edges together. I have my scrap here, and this piece looks like it's gonna be wide enough because that's the bend in my door. Oh yeah, that's plenty wide. All right, so this is where my edge of my inside is. So I'm gonna use my handy dandy marker, and I mean, you could, so you don't have to cut the bottom, you could just scoot that up. I am going to bring this in just a little bit and take off that row, and then up here we'll just bring it in. I just want it to be just inside so that it slides in easily and it isn't a problem. Go ahead, get your big scissors and cut it out. All right, we're going to double check that this fits inside. Just make sure that nothing's poking out over the top or out the edge, and then we're going to start working on this. All right, and moving on to round 27, which is going to be the edge around the door, chain 1, turn, and with the right side out. So fold it this way, not this way. With this guy, we're going to be working through both thicknesses again. So this should meet right up. So going through the first single crochet and into the other side, go ahead and single. And do that all the way down the side. Just being really careful to match up each single crochet. I'll see it at the corner and we'll do the corner together. All right, so I'm down at the bottom end of the side that we were working on. In that last single crochet, I'm going to put 3 singles because we're going to use that as our corner. 2 and 3. That all goes in that last single crochet on that end. And then what we're going to do is work in our row ends across, matching them up, working through both thicknesses. Just do your best to match up the row ends the best you can. All right, and now we're to the other side of those row ends. I'm going to get rid of this because it's kind of in my way. And we're going to put 3 single crochets into the corner again, but I'm going to use the first single crochet on the side. These are the open loops from row 14. When we went back and forth, these little open loops right here are what we're going to work in. So I'm going to put 3 in that first one to create my corner. And then I'm going to, in each open loop, single crochet. And in the last loop on that side, I'm going to put 3 single crochets. And then we're going to match up our ends, but first thing we're going to do is slide our piece of plastic canvas in between. Might take a little bit of finagling and forcing. And if, like me, you get to the end and it's too tall, you might have to shave off just a little bit to make sure it fits down inside. Yeah, because then we can crochet into our row ends again. And let's go ahead and crochet our row ends together. Tuck your little end inside before you get too far. And then the last thing that we're going to do is in that first single crochet that we started with over here, we're just going to put 2 more single crochets. That'll create the last corner. And then we're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet. Go ahead and cut that. And this is our door. This is going to fit right here. And we're going to use these door jambs as a way to secure it to the house itself. And then we're going to create some decorations for the front of our door next. So you're going to need a little bit of DK black or a thinner black. And then leave a little bit of space. When we attach this to this side of the door jamb, or whichever side you want your door to open on, you want to leave it kind of go as close to this edge as possible, so that you leave a little space over here for a button for the door, so that it actually closes for you. I recommend using a toggle button. However, I only have a wooden bead today because I forgot to buy a button for this tutorial. But you know what? It's going to work just the same. We just need something for the loop to go over, and we'll talk about that once we do our actual decorations for the door. All right, so grab yourself some black and an F or a 3.75 millimeter hook, and I'll see you in just a couple minutes. Alrighty, I have got my F 3.75 millimeter hook, and I just grabbed some Escapee's Color Crafter. It's a thinner yarn, and it will work nicely for the decorations that we're going to be doing. I called them ironwork decorations, and that's kind of what I wanted them to represent. They're going to be very, very simple to do. And I suppose you could use your worsted weight yarn if you want to. They're just going to be a little bit thicker on your door. All right, so we're going to start out with a chain 19. And then once we have that in place, we're going to count back 5 stitches. I know this is super hard to see with the black, and I apologize. But we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we go. I got to do it by the bumps on the back. I have just as hard a time seeing this as you do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So in the 5th loop from the hook, we're going to slip stitch so that we create this little loop here. Is it showing up on camera? It is. Okay. And then we're 2 more times. We're going to go chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to slip stitch in that same chain that we just slip stitched into. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Slip stitch in that same chain again, right here. And now slip stitch in each of the chains, the ones that are remaining, which should be a total of 14. We're just slip stitching. And I know you can't see these stitches. I can hardly see these stitches, so I apologize. All right. And now we're going to make the other side of this. Okay, chain 4, and then slip stitch into the last chain 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch into the last chain of that chain 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and slip stitch. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and slip stitch. And then we are going, I'm just going to quick join with the first or last stitch of the original, and I'm going to cut a nice long piece because we're going to use that to sew it to the door. And however you tuck in your ends, whatever it is you do, get creative with it. Now, this is what we're looking to achieve. We want to have pieces that are going to go across the door fully. We're looking for one on top, and we're looking to do one on the bottom, and then we're going to create another one that's going to use a similar style, but it's going to have a loop on it, and it will go in the center and be our door holder or our handle. All right, so go ahead and make one more of these, and then we'll make the door handle together. Once you've got both of your ironwork pieces completed, I would suggest getting them attached. And what I do to hold them in place while I'm working on them is I will take a straight pin and just pin it where I want it. Sorry, I just stuck that in my mouth. Where I want it to stay, so that it's not wiggling around on me while I am trying to get it attached to the door. And I feel like that's pretty good placement. Alrighty, I'm gonna get these attached. I'll be right back. All right, let's go ahead and make our door handle. So the first thing that we're going to do is chain 8. All right, that is going to be our actual door handle. And we're going to slip stitch to the first chain to make a circle. So slip stitch, and there we have, this is what's going to actually be our door handle over here. So now chain 15. And then slip stitch into the 5th chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know you can't see it, I'm sorry. And then we're going to do that same decoration, chain 4, and slip stitch into the same stitch. And then we're going to slip stitch into the remaining chains. All the way over to the door handle. And then we're going to leave a long end and sew this one on, but we're going to position this so that the circle of the door handle hangs over. All right, cut. All right, so we are going to take our straight pin and kind of pin the decorative section in the center of the door here. Making sure that this little handle here hangs over the edge so that it'll go around whatever we put in place here now. So this is the way our door is going to go on here. You can attach this however you want. I'm probably going to use a whip stitch or a mattress stitch to sew it on here so that it doesn't go above the wall here. It should rest right at the base of your floor. And then this, when it's closed, will just meet, and then your door will open like so. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get this put together, and I'm going to get my door attached. Okay, so we're back, and we've got everything attached. I have my door attached here. Now, what I did notice is when I put my bead on here, that this guy probably should have been a little bit further over because this bead is bigger than my normal button that I use, so it's maybe a little long there, but I'm okay with this because this is just going to go on my shelf and it's not going to go to anyone in particular. But if you find that you don't care for this, this needs to be over a little bit more here so that your button or your bead, whatever you're using for your door closure, doesn't cause things to hang over too much. But if I set it up just so and leave it alone, it looks fine. All right, so now we are going to move on to our roof.